with. Okay, first of all, I'm Mridula, and I'm the senior manager at Origo, and I'm building a documentation system from a scratch. So this project was very, very useful for me. So the idea is to make use of four or five different sources of information, collect information, sanitize it, and then extract the release notes information, and also use the same system for the initial draft. So the initial drafting I have kept aside and focusing only on the release notes. I hope all of you are able to see my screen apart from my face.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah, so the tech stack is, of course, Claude Code. I found Cursor a little overwhelming, so I did everything in Claude Code. But of course, I used whatever learning I could gather from the training given by Aman. And then I created two skills. One is the release pre flight and release notes, and an agent release notes auditor. And I made use of JavaScript and Python at a couple of places to create some very simple scripts, nothing complex. I made use of 5 MCP connectors, Confluence, Jira, GitHub, Google Drive, and Google Calendar. Google Calendar was amazing. What it does is that it generates a release calendar first, because I based this initiation of generating a release notes based on the release dates, as is in our real work life. Then it runs a pre-flight check on all the information that are being gathered from different sources, and make sure the parameters are met, the style guide is in place, and all those pre-requirements are in place. Then once everything has passed, then it auto triggers the release notes skill, which generates the release notes. And finally, there is an auditor who looks at the output and then decides whether it can be published or not. And definitely, it does not automate the publication, but it just flags all the parts that needs human intervention or human review. Here is a very simple flow chart where everything starts with the calendar, and then there is a pre-flight assessment, and then we check if the prerequisites are met. If it is not met, manually fix it, go ahead with the release notes. Release notes auditor kicks in, checks everything, and then it goes ahead and creates a finalized release report, release notes with a report. I'll quickly show the demo now. I hope it was an uphill task to get this recorded, and I hope it works. Hello, everyone. As explained, I'm going to demonstrate the release note automation system. So I have created a script that generates the release calendar. Let me show you that. This is one of the most important point of this particular project, because the whole release notes generation is automatically triggered on these dates, which is essentially the last Thursday of every month. So that is what it looks like. Let us go into Claude. In Claude, I'm going to call this particular skill called release pre-flight. You will shortly see what it looks like. So it essentially checks if the release is ready to be drafted, and looks for all the parameters and constraints. And then it initiates another skill called release notes. So let me initiate this. It will take a couple of minutes. Let us go to the resources that I have used to pull in all the information. The way I have designed the system, it not only works for release notes, but also it can draft the first draft of any documentation. So this is a prototype of a imaginary product called Pantry.ai, and this is a prototype of the feature that is getting released this month, and the version is 3.4. Now, as I show you this PRD, please note the status, which is saying in review. And also, as I scroll down, there is a particular part of this feature that is not going to be released this month. So it has been descoped from 3.4 and deferred to 3.5. Now, this is the Jira in which I have created prototype epics and stories. I've created some codes in GitHub. Then there is a demo transcript sitting in the G drive. And there is an event scheduled in the Google Calendar, which triggers the whole release notes generation. Let us get back to our screen. So it will take another couple of minutes, and then we can see the result. The results have come, and you can see that the PRD status and the P0 code both have failed, and therefore the release notes has not been generated. Now I'm going to go ahead and fix those manually. This is a task to be done by the product managers or whoever is in charge of the PRD. So they need to ensure that this particular status is changed on time for any automation to work properly. And that is true for any kind of automation. The data has to be very clean for it to work as expected. So I'll go ahead and type ready to ship here. And I'll go down and I'm going to make this change also. I'm going to add this here. So that is our N. And for aesthetics, I will ensure that they are in sequence. So I'll delete that row, I'll update. And I'll go back to Claude. And I'm going to ask it to run, the skill once again. So the skill is release pre-flight. We'll just wait for it to come up with the result. Now you can see that all the 4 items are green, all of them have passed, and therefore it is asking if it wants me to allow it to run release notes. So I'll go ahead and allow it. I'm sorry, because of external monitor, the mouse pointer is a challenge. So now it is generating the release notes. So we'll give it some time. Now, once the release note generation was initiated through the skill release notes, it triggered the agent called release conflict auditor. Now, this is an output of the release auditor. Now, the main job of the auditor is to ensure that the release notes is draft and to flag whatever inconsistencies it finds. So you can see that there are 3 inconsistencies that were found, and these need to be fixed through human intervention. And this is where the reviewing of the output of an AI tool comes into picture. Now, I will just show you how the release note looks. What you're seeing is just the output in Claude. I will exit Claude, go back to the terminal, and put in this script. It's a JavaScript, and hit enter. And the release notes has come out in another new window, and you will see how it has flagged. So you can see that there are 2 flags. One is that it is not yet approved for publication, and this is very important because we do not want any AI output to go into production without human intervention, without being reviewed for technical accuracy. But this is how the whole release note has been generated automatically. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so that's it. I hope I completed my demo on time. Thank you so much, Aman, and thank you, Puneet, for organizing this training.